everybody, welcome back to another episode in Project C.A.R. This time it's number 13, in which we will continue with the engine. So we're going to take the gearbox off it, we're going to take the engine off the subframe itself, and then we'll take off the shock absorbers. So as you can see above me, the car is back. Yes, she is completely rust free now, with lots of restoration work still to be done. There's a lot of poor previous repairs done, so that needs to be sorted out. But that's something for a different episode. In this particular episode, we are going to start off with taking off the gearbox, and it's only after a few minutes before I run into problems, so we'll cover that. Then we'll continue with the shock absorbers. They will come off, and then the engine itself will be taken off the subframe and stored onto the stand for it on the side, so we can do further work on that. So as you can see, I've got a slightly different concept going on here, slightly different script. So from now on, I'm going to start off with a little bit of an introduction, what you can expect in this episode, and what you will learn, and what you can do with it at the end. And then we'll go into the nitty-gritty bits of the episode itself. So let me know what you think of it, if it's of any benefit to you, or if you rather have the old style where we just get on with things. Let me know, post a comment down below, or send me an email, direct message, whichever works best for you, and I'd love to hear your feedback. As always, don't forget to subscribe on the button down below, and like the video while you're down there. So without further ado, let's get into work, and we'll start working on removing the gearbox. So I've got a leveler that I bought, it's like 40 quid, not bad, and I'm using carabiners from mountain climbing that are strong enough to do the job, to hook onto the engine block, because I don't have anything else that is suitable. So hopefully it will work. First off, I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So transmission will come off first. For that, we need to undo the bolts that are all on the bell housing. Once they're off, it should be able to just pull it and lift it off. Subsequently, we're going to do the engine itself. So we have the engine mounts. We're going to take that off the subframe. So there's one here, and there's one identical bolt on the other side. That should hopefully then lift off quite straightforward, and then we're going to push this unit onto the engine stand. So we'll see how that goes later on. Last but not least, we're going to remove the shock absorbers. So there's 3 bolts underneath. A bit difficult to see, but I'll show you better once I get to it. 3 bolts there that are going to come off, and we should be able to lift these units off in itself. That's the plan. Hopefully it will work. If not, I'll see you in a bit. If it does work, then enjoy the show and let's get on with it. Alright guys, so I'm running into a little problem here. I thought it was a bit more straightforward, but it isn't. So I need to remove the cover plate that's stuck behind the gear wheel and mounted to the bell housing. So hopefully we can get to this one, because the other side was straightforward. This side, however, not as much. So this isn't really going as planned. I've not got, well, because I've got an automatic gearbox, I have to take off the, I think it's called a torque converter or something. Anyway, to do that I need to remove 4 bolts on the gear wheel that's located between the engine and the gearbox. Now in order to get to that, I need to be able to rotate the crankshaft and then get to them in one specific point that you can get your wrench in. In order to do that, I need the correct size socket to rotate the crankshaft at the front. Unfortunately, I don't have that one, so I had to order it, which means that for now we're stuck with a gearbox that's hanging off halfway, and nothing else that I can do at the moment. So instead of just hanging around and going to do something else with my life, I've decided we're going to take off the front shock absorbers. So we are going to undo the 3 bolts that are located underneath. I believe they are a size 13. We'll undo those, and we should be able to take this unit off, and then we'll do the same thing at the other side. before we do that, we just need to make sure that hello puppy, that we make sure they don't fall over, so we'll have to time that somewhere. So let's sort that out first, and then we'll take them off. There we go, 2 removed. Alright then, next up we're going to put the bolts away, clear them so we don't lose any of that. And then, I think unfortunately for now, I think we're a bit stuck, because like I said, I don't have the correct socket for the front, so I'm waiting for that to be delivered. So it'll probably be after the weekend. So yeah, so I think that's it for now. So guess I'll start filming again once the sockets have arrived. And yes, the tool that I was waiting for, the 36mm socket, did indeed arrive after the weekend. Now, the problem became that in order to get to these bolts, you have to rotate the crankshaft, as I mentioned, but they're hidden behind the gear wheel. So in order to get into it, I ended up using a flexible head spanner. It's like a socket wrench, but one that you can rotate up to 90 degrees. So it was a little bit fiddly to get it in. And I only use it for the first 2 or 3 rotations in order to get the bolt loose, because once the bolt is loose and comes out, you can't remove the spanner anymore. So from that point I swapped over to a normal wrench, which then did the job quite nicely, and eventually you can do it with your fingers. So once the first bolt is out, you then have to repeat the process another further 3 times by rotating crankshaft through 90 degrees, then do the next one. So it's a bit of a time-consuming job, but eventually it was very straightforward. Now, the one thing that I will mention that is quite important and kind of bit me in the behind, shall we say, is that as soon as you pull out the gearbox from the engine, the torque converter will fall out unless you have it completely level, which I clearly didn't. And when it does, there will be oil, gearbox fluids will be leaking out, and as you can see, they went all over the floor. So just be aware of that when you come to pulling it off. It's quite heavy because it's full of fluid and it's no longer attached to anything, so it most likely will drop off. So anyway, that's how you take the gearbox off the engine. So now at this point we are left with removing the engine off the subframe itself, and we'll do that by simply removing the bolts that hold the engine to the mount frame. And yeah, I'm going to leave you with a couple of minutes worth of quite entertaining footage where I struggled massively to get the engine onto the stand, because the crane and the stand didn't like each other and they would not work with each other or alongside each other. So anyway, that's it for this time. So hopefully you will enjoy the last bit of footage I have for you, and I'll see you in the next episode, where we will more or less repeat the process on the rear subframe. We'll take that off, and then we'll look at some other bits that still need doing. So thank you very much for joining me again on this episode, and I'll see you in 2 weeks at the next one. See you then. Bye bye. GoPro, stop recording.